Hey guys, it's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber, and today we are checking out one of the Campfire stories from MikeBurnFire. You guys asked for it, and you know I'm good for it, so let's get into it. This is anger management.
The one that I had to bring a different beret for, and the one that I had to constantly make sure my boots were polished for.
Oh my gosh, polished boots. So, okay, for those of you that need a little bit of context, prior to when I joined, actually, so I went to basic training with the National Guard while I was still in ROTC because I am nothing if not a man who can strike a deal. And I basically I was the first generation to be issued a newfangled uniform called the Army Combat Uniform. This was this ugly looking digital camo pattern, which, by the way, I want to point out that despite the fact that people claim the whole uniform was super ugly, Kanye then took the boots, stole them, priced them at $900, and released them as Yeezy like season 4 boots. Okay, a little salty about that. But anyway, they issue these crazy Army combat uniforms, and everything is Velcro, but what's the real revolution is that the Army has said these are never to be ironed, they are never to be pressed. It will ruin the infrared coating that protects them. And the boots, while they were supposed to always be clean and free of stains, they were not expected to be polished. To give you an idea, the Army spent almost eye-watering amount of time on the wear and appearance of the BDU. There was so much bizarre stuff, and I hope he gets into it, but the BDU was the traditional green camouflage canvas type uniform, canvas cotton uniform that you think of when you think of soldiers in, say, Grenada or Panama or any of the 90s military thrillers, right? The problem is that the military had peacetime had warped sort of the military sense of what was important. It's my theory. So the creases in those uniforms, soldiers were judged heavily based on the quality and presentation of their uniform. So if the uniform was starched or not, right, that was a good soldier got his uniform starched. Were the crease lines crisp? Was it crisp in its creasing? Another metric of judging a soldier's squared away character. How well polished were the boots? Highly mirror polished boots were considered the best, and the worst were those that only complied with the wear and appearance of the uniform standard, right? Black and free of blemishes. And so what you would get, though, is soldiers spending this incredible amount of time and effort creating tricks to create a certain appearance in their uniform. Soldiers would literally take fishing line to create creases, and they would iron the fishing line inside the interior of the uniform so it would appear as though there was an actual ironed crease when in fact it was literally just filament that was melted down into the uniform. My problem with this is not that you need metrics to determine if soldiers are squared away or not, right? My problem is that this time and energy that soldiers put into the way their uniform looked would have been better served doing almost anything else. I mean, in combat, right, you don't need a creased uniform or polished boots. So if you're going to develop skills in peacetime as a proxy for how dedicated a soldier is to their craft, it should be a part of their craft. Like, imagine if artists, instead of being really good at painting, they judged each other by how clean their paintbrushes were, right? And good artists threw out their paintbrushes after 2 uses, or they had these bizarre techniques to clean their paintbrushes to a perfect blemish-free look after every painting session. You'd be like, that's stupid. I want to buy a painting from an artist who paints every day, not one who cleans their brushes. And that's sort of what drove me crazy about this idea of soldiers as fashionistas. I don't care that a soldier knows how to polish boots or how to sew the buttons on his uniform just right or how to put fishing line in his pants, right? I want soldiers that can shoot, move, and communicate, right? So after that, right, when the Army had, okay, let's just have these lower standards for uniforms, the emphasis became on things like physical fitness, right? Which to me is a much better metric, though not perfect, as a metric for what is a good, capable soldier.
That one was the same one that I got sent to anger management for because I told him that he was a fuckhead and he would be dead and gone before he would get any of the cabinets that I had.
I'm sorry, did you say cabinets? Were you hoarding cabinets as well?
No, I had done my on-the-job training. I had gone to my actual unit. And the Army, in its infinite wisdom, had decided to send me to a forward support company. The way a forward support company worked is now, instead of having all this expertise that you can pull from a whole shop filled with mechanics or a whole shop filled with armors, you now have one armor. Private First Class Zach.
Okay, that is exactly how this works, by the way. Also, what's hilarious to me is I don't know if his official job was armorer. Okay, so I never had to deal with forward support companies. The reason is even worse. In a military police company, they are designed to be really modular. Part of it is the idea that because a big part of our mission is supporting local police forces, like, you know, the military might ask an MP company, 200 soldiers, to go and, like, hey, train the Congolese military in preparation for their deployment. You know, teach the Ugandan military how to plan a tactical operation, right? Those sort of partnership missions are pretty essential. Though, of course, in Afghanistan and Iraq, every mission was go patrol with your local police forces who, you know, bore a lot of the brunt of the combat in both those countries. So anyway, the military police corps, what they would do is they would say, listen, we're going to give you don't even get a forward support company. You just get a headquarters platoon. And you're going to have mechanics and comm specialists, medics, armorers, and every other class of support. Cooks. We had company-level cooks. And this is, I honestly, for the most of the time, assumed every company was like this. And then I realized when I talked to, like, infantry or engineer companies that they didn't behave that way. And they depended on a battalion for everything. And so, yeah, a forward support company supports a whole battalion of people. Having one armor in your forward support company seems like an absolute mess waiting to happen. That said, our armorers were regular soldiers that we sent to a 4-week small arms repair course where they came back, learned how to repair the 4 most common malfunctions on every weapon and how to order parts. Though, if you are smart, if your unit is good, they will find the unit's resident gun nerd. There's always one gun nerd in your unit. They love guns. And when you tell them that you're going to send them to the armorer course, they learn no new facts, but they come back and they now have the Army's permission to fix the guns, to play with the guns. And most of them love it, right? So a lot of them are actually capable of doing a way higher level of repair than they are ostensibly trained to do. And if they're good and they're mature and they don't do too much stuff, I can't swear because we're in the first 3 minutes of this video, but if they don't screw around too bad, you can really, really save yourself a lot of painful trips to the forward support company, or we would just send it direct to garrison headquarters. When we were stateside, when we were deployed, yeah, we had to. What did we do with our weapons that broke? I don't know if we ever even. We honestly, every single weapon that broke, we fixed in house. We just refused to, because you would have to get a weapon to another fob. You'd have to go on an entire combat patrol to fix a stinking 240 barrel or something. You know, it was never worth it.
You were in charge of everything.
Who has spent 3 weeks as on-the-job training. And that's...
Oh, he's also an armorer who literally OJT'd in 3 weeks. Oh, okay. So maybe it's a 3-week course. Damn. That's stupid.
All the experience, yeah, I had no idea how to fill out the correct forms. I knew how to fix guns. I didn't know how to fill out forms.
Okay, so when he was in, they were using literal handwritten forms. Nowadays, a lot of it's digitized. There's a digital part, or nowadays, sorry, I'm 10 years behind. when I was in, the system was done digitally. It's a little bit more forgiving.
I didn't know how to get things. I didn't know what kind of parts I was going to need to order.
Okay.
And they basically went, figure it out. So when I got to the company that I was in, immediately there are unit armors coming to me and saying, I need this fixed, I need this fixed, I need this fixed. I have 24 M4s that need to be gauged. I have all these things that are broken.
Okay, this is so weird to me. Again, okay. So this is weird to me because in the military, a soldier isn't a soldier. Every soldier in every unit is a function of their culture, their setup, their sense of things. And MPs are weird and aloof, and we sort of resent the fact that we have to work around tankers and infantrymen and everyone else who we see as less responsible than we are. This is a function of the fact that military police are trained to fight in 3 soldier teams, and by fight, we mean in garrison, a military police officer operates by, a military police soldier operates by themselves. They sign for a patrol car. They are expected to go to calls, and if it's an active shooter, all the way down to a missing cat, I expect that 19-year-old private to have the poise and confidence to deal with it, right? And if he can't, I expect them to know that when they're in a situation that requires backup and not to waste their supervisors or their other MPs' time. So that's a really high level of maturity for a 19-year-old, right? And we expect it, and we hold them to high standards, and we, reassign or discipline or fix the people that can't hang. But it means that some of the things that he said, ordering parts, gauging weapons, those are company-level tasks. Like, you don't know how to get your M4s gauged? Like, where's your XO? Where is your maintenance sergeant? Like, this should not be a factor. I mean, getting weapons gauged was a pain in my ass. Believe me. It drove me bananas with a capital B. But, I did it in-house. We got our weapons together. We went up to the garrison contractor. We booked an appointment with him. He came down. He gauged all our weapons, and then he left. Right? And you know what? Half our weapons, we had our unit armorer gauge them because he figured out how to do it. Right? So this if he was in an infantry unit or like a Cav are okay. Cav also have that sense of independence because they live so far. Like Cav scouts, right? They're scouts. They have to take care of their own. So they sort of get that. Engineers do because engineers just love tinkering with things. But yeah, this sounds like an infantry unit.
And I need this fixed. And I'm like, cool, I don't have any parts, I don't have any gauges, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm inside this brick building. I had to go through every manual for every weapon that was used by the 6 infantry companies I'm supposed to support.
Infantry have like 4 weapons, by the way.
I had to go through every manual, look at every weapon, and go, I'll probably need this part, and I'll probably need this part, and I'll probably need this one. I don't think I'll need this part. I had to guess at all this stuff. So I came up with this massive, and it took me months. I came up with a massive list of parts that I was going to need in quantities of things.
Okay, now he's thinking like an armorer.
Ordered all those parts, and then the parts got to me in cardboard boxes and plastic envelopes. And I have no way to organize these parts. I didn't go to college.
Yes,
I went into the military. So I have no idea how to organize a whole part system. Anytime someone's like, oh, Zach's so dumb, I'm just like, you have no idea the amount of fucking work I have. That's one of the reasons I'm so lazy now, is because I put everything into doing this stuff while I was in the military.
You really had to bust your ass.
I had to, oh my god. It's one of the reasons I started smoking.
Oh my god. Okay. This is hilarious. When I was deployed, my entire platoon, which by the way, 25% women, was chain smoking or dipping. And I and 2 other soldiers were the only ones who didn't. And it became a problem for me because at first my excuse was when things are really bad, that's when I'll start smoking. Now here's the thing. Things at times got really bad, but it would crush morale if everyone was like, even the LT started smoking. right? He must think things are really bad. And if they think I think things are really bad, they're like, shit, he's party to a bunch of information that we're not. Things must be royally fucked. And so it became a trope that, oh, see, the LT thing's bad enough to smoke. I literally had a squad leader walk up to me while I was scowling looking at something. And he walked up to me and he attempted to put a cigarette between my lips and light it like a child trying to eat. And I was just like, no, I don't want it. This is because the military is populated by grown-ups.
And having...
Which I'm going to also point out that I don't think in many infantry companies or other types of military units, a relatively junior squad leader fucking with his lieutenant by trying to stick a cigarette in his mouth might go over more poorly, right? But in the MP world, again, it's like, we're all grown-ups here. We can screw around and still get the job done.
Really bad anxiety attacks. I don't have PTSD from being in Iraq. I have PTSD from being at Fort Polk and having to run a forward support company by myself. In any other unit, the job I was in would have been a warrant officer position. I was an E3.
Oh, you weren't even an E4 yet.
Oh my God. Yes. This is how you know all his stories are true, right? Fort Polk, by the way, Fort Polk is literally the worst place on earth. And I say this as someone who has never been to Fort Polk, but knows it only third hand by other people who were subjected to Fort Polk. You can always conjure up a volunteer for an Afghanistan deployment. You can find volunteers for Korea deployments. No one in the United States Army will volunteer for a Fort Polk deployment. You are more likely to get volunteers for Alaska than Fort Polk. Outdoors weirdos love Alaska. You can't keep them away. But Fort Polk, it's a swamp. It's nothing. It's land so terrible that no one in Louisiana wanted it. And that's the poorest state in the Union. And they still couldn't find someone desperate enough to take that land.
You were just an E3.
I was an E3 holding the position of a warrant officer. I was like,
I don't know, I guess I can fix these guns for you, but I mean, really, you're supposed to do this paperwork.
and then eventually it got to a point where I was just big bad angry Zach, where I was just like, no, you can go fuck yourself, Sergeant. I'm not fixing any of your shit because you don't have the fucking paperwork.
Yeah, that's what's up. See, here's the thing people forget in the military is that there's rank and then there's authority, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what his rank is. You can't go... He's got the authority, right? And this is your introduction to what I later learned in grad school was called the realism theory of international relations, which says, in short, as Thucydides tells us, the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. And if you didn't have your paperwork in order, you were weak. And the person behind the armorer desk with all the parts, he is strong. You're welcome.
So, I got all these parts ordered. They sent a bunch of the wrong ones. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with all these parts. They're just sitting in cardboard boxes.
Always hoard parts. Always. Because here's the thing they don't tell you also. In the military, you can exchange a lot of equipment. There's some things you can't, right? There's some, like, major end items you cannot trade, right? But you can trade a lot of the other shit. You just have to get a hand receipt for it. You have to have some sort of paperwork trail, right? So if you get a wrong part, you just hold on to that puppy. Because one day, another forward support company is going to call you, and they're going to say, hey, man, do you have a Pindle widget for an M2? And you're going to get to go, yeah, I think I got one. And if you're smart, you're going to say, I got you, bro. No worries. You let me know. I actually have a bunch of parts. And they're going to say, wow. Private Zach, he did me a solid. Which means that when that sergeant comes to you with 15 or 24, M4s that need to be gauged, you can call your buddy and be like, hey, man, do you have some bandwidth? Could I send you to gauge like 6 of my M4s? And they'll remember. They'll be like, oh, that dude did me a solid. They'll say, yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. Right? That's the like 200 IQ play in the military. It's called being friendly, and it's a really rarely used strategy.
boxes, and anytime I need to get a part, I have to dig through cardboard boxes and talk. You need a new hammer for your M16? Cool. This is going to take me about 2 hours to find this one because I don't know where the hell it is in this mess. I got so frustrated with having to dig through these cardboard boxes. I'm like, fine, I need cabinets.
Did you purchase these cabinets with your own funds? Or?
No, I purchased them with the funds that was allotted to our unit for that fiscal year.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what he did. He purchased them at the end of the previous fiscal year as the unit was frantically trying to use all of the funds it was allocated. That's because if you give the funds back at the end of the year, the government will never give you more. Because they're like, well, you made mission with only 80% of your budget. That can never happen, right? So what you always do is burn it. I once ordered $24,000 of Humvee batteries over Korean. Me and my buddy went to the best Korean buffet in Fort Riley, and we were just like shooting the shit because, you know, when you're an officer in doing logistics, I was an XO, he was the S4. Also, roles we were completely untrained for. You go to the best, you know the best lunch spots outside your base, and because the military has such a strong relationship to Korea, or the Army has such a strong relationship to Korea, there's a lot of great Korean restaurants outside of military bases. So anyway, we were eating bulgogi like it's going out of style when he was like, man, we got to spend all this money. And I was like, hey, my maintenance people said our batteries on our Humvees keep going out. And he goes, you need some more? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how many do you need? I'm like, I don't know, 3 per Humvee, which is like, 125 batteries or something. And he's like, done. $26,000 spent. He did it in a text message.
I ordered these cabinets.
That's your tax dollars hard at work, American taxpayers.
Cabinets get sent to the wrong company. Cool. All right. Well, I have to go get these cabinets now. So I go to sign on a 5-ton truck so that I can go pick up these cabinets.
All right. Ooh, way more involved than I thought.
I feel like I have to tell you all the effort that went into these cabinets so you can understand why I did what I did.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to point out nothing he has said in this story. I mean, he's telling it in a hilarious fashion. But the actual process of, like, cabinets and ordering parts and the parts showing up wrong and the cabinets going... All of this is a regular, routine, totally normal military series of events. This is how every single thing is all of the time. This is how getting anything done is. This is the military's biggest bureaucracy to ever exist. It's like a 100 million headed hydra, and just like finding one of the heads and trying to like deal with it, and then finding the head that you started in is impossible.
Once I have the backstory, you refusing to surrender cabinets might make more sense.
Yes. So, I gotta go get a 5-ton to go pick up these cabinets. I go to get a 5-ton. There's no 5-tons available. What do you mean there's no 5-tons available? There's like 25 tons sitting out there. Nope, we don't have a single one that you can drive. Besides, do you even have a permit to drive that? Of course I do. My shop is on the back of one. Why don't you just use the truck that your shop is on? I can't do that because the shop weighs 7.5 tons and the cabinets don't fit in the door of the shop that's on the back of the truck. Well, we don't have any trucks for you to use. Fine.
All those trucks are broken, guarantee it. And they were probably awaiting parts that needed to be picked up on a 5-ton truck. And that 5-ton truck was probably out picking up the parts for the other 5 tons.
So I walk a mile down to Bravo because if I drive my car down there and I get a truck at Bravo Company, then I'm going to have to drive the truck back. And
You walked down to Bravo Company where the cabinets were delivered because you figured maybe they had a truck you could use.
maybe they had a truck I could use. They have a truck.
Hooray!
Thank you. Thank you for being nicer to me than my own company will. Clementine will remember this. I find someone with a forklift to pick up the cabinets and put them in the bed of the truck. I drive the truck.
See? This is how you know these stories are real. Because remember, he's like, if this company can hook me up, right, I will remember that and do them a solid later. You can't put a price on the value of just doing people a solid when they can't do anything for you, because they can always do something for you down the line, right? This is cooperation. This is why all societies function. High social trust, right? The military, its inability to have social trust is sometimes like disturbing to me, actually. But yeah, this is also the reason why, like, you're starting to hear why, despite civilians being like, oh, the military and their rigid thinking and their inflexibility. You're just like, here's a dude who is navigating this like weird system. It's really complicated, and it just sort of conjures up this like initiative and problem solving and improvisation, right? And I think that's why like military characters in disaster movies can always do all that shit. Like, they're not like, oh, did the military teach you how to, plan to fight 100 zombies or figure out a zombie defense plan? It's like, no, but if you've done this 100 times for like 10 straight years, 100 times a week for 10 years, you're just going to be good at dealing with weird shit that you never thought you were going to have to. And that's why, like, I think that's where the military resourcefulness stereotype comes from, is just the fact that, like, if you're in the military for any length of time, you're just like, nothing can weird me out. Like, nothing can be so weird that I am ill prepared for it. And, like, truly, if one skill has served me in my post-military life, like, it's that. It's that nothing is that weird. Like, I've accepted the range of weird possible things. I don't think I'd be weird. I don't think I'd be weirded out if things got like Metal Gear Solid, where like vampires start showing up, or a man starts reading my mind with a gas mask, right? It just, of course, a guy with a gas mask in bondage gear is going to read my mind. Why wouldn't he?
Back to my motor pool. I bring them outside my office. We don't have a forklift. Now the cabinets have to come off the truck. I had to get like 20 people to help me pick up these cabinets and put them on the ground outside of my shop. Now I have to figure out...
But remember, just want to point out, that's like 4 hours of a private stay, right? Like, a whole platoon came and helped him offload his cabinets. And that is just classic. That is exactly how the military functions, right? You're just like, we don't have a forklift. We need 20 people. And so, like, some private went home and their spouse was like, what'd you do today? And he goes, I offloaded cabinets for 4 hours. And she's like, wow, I thought you were like an infantryman. Shouldn't you be kicking down doors? And it's like, nah, cabinet offloading duty.
Out how to get them in my shop. They don't fit in the door.
No!
Well, actually, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They fit in the door, but only if I take all of the drawers out.
Okay.
To lighten them up somewhat.
That's better anyway, because you're going to move the cabinet anyway. Why not take out the drawers?
Take out all the drawers, get the cabinets put in my shop. They got nice little drawers in them, and I can put little things. It's like the inside of a tackle box in these cabinets.
I know exactly what cabinets he's talking about, by the way. I can picture them. They're like a steel, like a blue-gray.
Cabinets. You pull the drawer out, and they got a bunch of dividers in there, and you just put the parts in it. If I needed a part, I could look at the list that I had made on my own personal computer, on Excel, on the massive 300-plus page document that listed what the NSN for the part was, what the name for the part was, how many of them I had, and what drawer and slot they were in.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about this. The fact that the military doesn't give every private a laptop is the dumbest thing on planet fucking Earth. I was at when I was in the reserves, I was at a very high level military intelligence command, doing the most bureaucratic bullshit that totally irrelevant. I had no impact on any operation in any measurable way. But I didn't have a computer, and I was a fucking captain. Right? See, you can see the rage is boiling up in me. What sort of nonsense is this? Like, it was sort of embarrassing, honestly, for the command, for my boss. That, like, really? Your captain doesn't have a computer? Yeah, he doesn't.
You went so far above and beyond what was expected of you. If you had the chance to go back in time, would you tell yourself not to give so much of an effort? Because you worked your ass off, and you never even made the rank of sergeant.
Yeah, if I could go back in time and talk to past me, I would be like, look, just don't do anything. Brush it off. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll send you to a not forward support company because they'll think you're unreliable.
If you keep...
Yeah, this is true everywhere. The more work award, you're rewarded for your stellar performance and your ability to get things done. I had an NCO friend of mine who was like, yeah, impossible tasks only was his joke. But you're rewarded with more impossible tasks, right? Because you're the only one capable of handling it.
keep working this hard, they're gonna find you irreplaceable. They're never gonna promote you. You're stuck. Be a lazy piece of shit.
I started doing that towards the end of my military career. I just started being a lazy piece of trash, and I didn't care anymore. Anyway,
If only you had started earlier.
this is great. I finally have an organization for all my parts.
It only took you 4 weeks to get this set up.
2 months, and then probably another.
Yeah. There's a real emotional toll for like, it's like trying really hard in the military, like consistently, day in, day out, like really giving it your all. The problem is like, it's sort of like, it's like believing that you are going to knock down a tree by like kicking it every day. You're just like, every day I'm going to give this tree one kick and eventually it'll fall. But here's the thing. You are just softer than the tree. You will develop stress fractures. Your skin will blister and scrape and bleed. And the tree will be unfazed. Like, no amount of kicking. Like, you could kick less, you could kick more, you could kick harder, you can kick less hard, right? There's no engineering, there's no like finagling, there's no skill set that will enable you to kick down a fully grown tree. It just isn't going to happen. And so like a lot of people, I've seen a lot, especially at like the major level, who after a lifetime of dealing with this sort of crap, or a decade or more of dealing with this sort of crap for 12 hours a day, they just can't take it. But like they can't leave the military. They have to finish out their careers, and they're too committed to like shift down a gear. And so that's where you get these like people that have this like rage, like white hot rage, like you've never seen a person in a work setting have, or drinking till they cannot see. I mean, the number of times I've been on TDY with like more senior officers who get blackout drunk. Like they ask you, they don't do anything bad, but then they ask you about things you talked about the night prior because they have no recollection. It's like actually a little sad.
Another 3 weeks after that, getting all the parts put into all the bins and organized by like size and what weapon system they go to. Top drawers for M9 parts, second drawers for M4 parts, next drawers for M4 parts, drawer after that is M16 and 249 parts. I finally have my full bench stock list on a computer. Everything is available. Someone can come in and say, hey, the spring broke for my M16. And before they're finished with the sentence, I can say, excellent, I have 6 of them. Here is your part. Sign here, here, and here.
And everything.
It's so funny because that is in a lot of ways how the military at large, after he left, implemented that as a standardized part system.
Thing will work smoothly like clockwork.
I can't even tell you how happy I was with the setup. And then Chief came into my shop and looked lustfully at my cabinets. And his heart, yea, it was filled with avarice.
Avarice?
Greed.
Ah, yes.
Hey, Hathbeat, open that cabinet.
Give him an accent?
No, that's how he talked. He referred to everyone as high speed, and he talked with a really bad lisp.
Oh, okay.
Then the really nice cabinet. Yes, they are, Chief. It took me a long time to get them. I remember I put the order in.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to finally get these in here. Those are really nice cabinets, Hathbeat. I think I'm going to need them. No, Chief, I just ordered these cabinets. I need them. I have all my parts in them. Hathbeat, I'm going to need them cabinets to put Humvee parts in. The Humvee parts aren't going to fit in there.
Yeah.
The drawers are too small for Humvee parts.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up devolving from a conversation of, no, Chief, you cannot have these cabinets. I just ordered these. I need them. Into, Chief, you can go fuck yourself, and I'm going to punch you in the goddamn face if you don't get the fuck out of my...
Okay, see, here is his strategic error. You need to tell someone above you what you are doing. And this is, okay, so this is the advantage that... This is one of the advantages that a small maintenance shop has, is that there's an officer at the top of your maintenance shop, and they are meant to deconflict these things. So if some chief starts flexing on you, you can go whine to your LT, and that LT should sit there and explain to the chief that the Humvee parts don't go in the arms room cabinet. You can't just make this guy empty out his arms room, right? And it should, if you have a decent officer, work, because that's what you do as an officer. You deconflict this shit and don't turn everything into a stupid. Again, I can't say it. A measuring contest. Let's say a sausage measuring contest, right? But because you're gonna lose, right? You're gonna lose to a chief warrant officer. So you just can't. Yeah, you can't be doing that stuff.
My shop.
I think maybe we...
Right. So like you just say, okay, here's what you do. You say, Chief, Raj that. Listen, I just got to clear it with the LT. You're like, the LT will kill me if these cabinets are out of here. And I hope in my heart, and I tried to communicate this to every one of my maintenance people that worked for me. I tried to just be like, listen, I've got your back. I've got your back. I get pissed when you fuck up, but I've got your back. So like, I really hope when people tried to flex on them, they knew that they could just be like, yo, dude, my XO is going to have my ass if I X or Y or Z. Or be like, listen, if someone tells you to do something else, you say, no, I'm here on behalf of Lieutenant Paul, and he said he needs to get these things done today. Like, I really hope the good ones, right? Some of them, like, if you were lazy and you were just like effing off, whatever.
We missed a step or two here.
Eventually, it resulted in me calling him an idiot and telling him that he would be dead and gone before he would ever lay a fucking finger on any of my cabinets.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, you can't do that.
I feel like there might be some fallout from
And he
that.
said, we'll see about that high speed, and walked out. At which point, I grabbed the pencil mount for a 50 caliber machine gun and threw it through a metal wall locker. I shot
Those pintle mounts are heavy. Oh, he specifies that.
putted a 6-pound chunk of metal so hard into a metal cabinet that it punched a hole through it.
So you damaged your own cabinet that you just received?
Oh, no. This was a different cabinet. This was just like a metal wall locker.
Okay. Did anybody see you do this violent act?
Yes. My squad leader came to talk to me, and he said, you should not have done what you just did. And I said, oh, gee, no shit, you fucking think?
So you're at that point where you know you fucked up, and you're just wondering, what's happening now?
I had to go.
Yep.
I had to go talk to the company commander. I got chewed out. When I came back, my cabinets were gone, and all my parts were on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. This is that officer shit. You gotta look out for your people, and you can't let... Right? Okay, so these are the things, this is the nonsense that you try. And as an officer, you lose a lot. You lose to Big Army. All the time. But sometimes, when there's something that's true nonsense, you gotta throw a flag.
In cardboard boxes,
Of
again,
course,
so
yeah.
I had to order more cabinets. As it turns out, what happened was better than I ever could have imagined. They sent me to anger management. I got to anger management, and sitting in anger management...
Okay, I'm just gonna point this out. They must have loved this dude. Because for you to say some of that stuff to a chief warrant officer, like even if and not lose rank or lose pay or be confined, wow, to be like, no, we're gonna get you some help, dude. Somebody. I mean, maybe he met with the company commander and like broke it down and was like, and the company commander was like, I understand. I'm not mad at you, but we got to do something. We're going to send you to anger management. You just can't blow up. Maybe that company commander was even like, yo, call your platoon sergeant, call your LT. He'll help you out.
is a staff sergeant, a captain, a lieutenant, a warrant officer, a major, a staff sergeant, a
All
staff
very
sergeant,
high-
a staff sergeant.
These are all very high-ranking members.
These are all people who are much higher ranking than me. And then E4 Zach.
Oh, you had been promoted in between.
Oh, sorry. Was I an E4 at this time? I can't remember if I was an E4 or an E3. So everyone has to talk about why they were there, and it's, well, my name's Sergeant so-and-so, and I punched one of my soldiers in the face because he wouldn't stop mouthing off to me. Seems reasonable to me.
Seems reasonable that you would be here. Not reasonable that you would punch one of your soldiers for mouthing off.
That seems reasonable.
The number of times soldiers just like mouth off with some nonsense. I think I know where this is going.
To me, I can understand that happening. Everyone's going around and talking about what they did wrong. They get to me, and I said, "My name is E4 Zach. I'm here because I told my chief warrant officer to go fuck himself, and that I thought he was a massive piece of shit." Okay, that's weird. Why is there an E4 in here? While I'm at anger management, someone from my company calls me and asks why I'm not in my shop fixing weapons. At which point I didn't even reply. I just snapped my phone in half. In anger management. Put the phone down on the table. This is why I'm here. And I just remember several of these other officers just looking at me like, I understand. I feel like they said it was anger management, but I'm pretty sure it was a incompetence of Fort Polk support group. It's just
This is so true. This is just so true. This is exactly what being a leader in the military feels like all of the time. I mean, oh my God. The number... Okay. There is one particular instance, maybe two, but really one, that I am confident would have gotten me sent to anger management if a different person had seen it. One, this was when I was in a meeting, like a maintenance meeting, with one of these other majors, one of whom actually liked me quite a bit, but who was also, like, again, a pretty serious drinking problem. But, yeah, someone called me about some maintenance task that had to get done, and it didn't get done because it fell on two privates to do it, right? And this was a sergeant who calls me and is like, well, it didn't get done. And I'm like, really? Because I'm in the meeting about to tell my boss's boss that this stuff is done and on lock, or else he is going to be furious with me. And he's like, well, I asked them to do it, and I'm like, I need to step out. And I step into the hallway, and I go, you're a stinking NCO. I use more colorful language, but I think I'm at my limit of number of times I can, say that on YouTube and not get demonetized. I go, you're a stinking senior non-commissioned officer. You are congressionally appointed. You don't ask them to do something. You make them do it. You're a supervisor. You have 3 combat deployments. And I'm screaming into the phone, and I'm turning red, and I'm so mad. And then the major comes out of the meeting, looks at me, and he goes, Paul, I'm just going to close this door. And he closes the door. I'm just like, here's the thing. I had seen him experience the exact same series of events with other people. So his look was just one of sympathy. Again, just like, I understand.
Where they send the people that can't deal with the incompetence at Fort Polk. They just send them here so they can all just talk to each other about how fucked everything was.
It's good to vent.
I ended up going to anger management for like 4 or 5 months. I have no proof of this, but I'm wondering if when I had told my chief to go fuck himself, if they were like, we've got to kick him the fuck out of the military. And then they went, wait, if we kick him out, we don't have anybody to fix guns. Shit!
And that was the first time that you had job security.
Yeah, I'm 99% positive that I could have gotten away with pretty much anything while I was in the military because I was the only one they had to fix guns.
The amount of things you can do, say, get away with when you become indispensable is pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
Never took advantage of this, though.
I did, just in weird ways.
When you started off this story, I figured there'd be a happy ending. You made a spectacle of yourself, damaged some machinery, and he said, whoa, okay, you can keep them, and walked away. No, you had to get new cabinets. You had to order a second pair of cabinets.
Had to order a second pair of cabinets. Fortunately, these ones actually showed up at my motor pool.
Well, that's good at least.
But I still didn't have a forklift to take them off the back of the truck.
Oh boy, many hands make light work.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, though, when I would go to anger management, we would do relaxation techniques, and I would get to fall asleep. So sometimes anger management just meant nap time.
Oh boy! I'm glad glad this story had a happy ending after all.
Okay, I just want to make one other note that I think is really important context that doesn't even apply to the modern military as much. Is that in addition to a weaponized level of like just bureaucratic and logistical nonsense, every single one of your coworkers if you were in the military between about 2006 and 2013 would have had one or more like true combat deployments. So imagine, maybe not all of them had PTSD, but every single one of them experienced traumatic events of some scale and caliber. So imagine just the level of blow-ups. I had people that I became very good friends with, and we would have screaming matches with each other. Again, about logistics. There was a particular communications officer who he and I just we would butt heads. I would end phone calls with him slamming down the phone, and then he'd be texting me 2 hours later, got a Remington 870. Gonna go hunt some ducks. I'd be sick. And I'd send him a picture of whatever I had bought recently, right? It's weird. It's weird. And I honestly will tell you that the level of a truly white hot rage that the military either induced in me or brought out because everyone else was doing it, actually worried me. I really was worried that it was gonna alter the fundamental character of who I was and that I would just be that angry at everything forever. So I'm glad that I got out. And I got out and I moved to Brazil and I literally lived a block from the beach and just drank Skull and studied Portuguese for a few hours a day and just did jiu-jitsu by the beach. And it was great. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Guys, if you want to support the channel, I have lots and lots of merch. The merch shelf is really spotty, so you should definitely click on the Teespring store and see everything I've got. Also, become a channel member. Channel members get to join my party when I stream on either MHGR or eventually I'm going to start streaming on Twitch or on this channel. And they get access to exclusive rooms on the Discord, and they get to vote for my Friday reaction video and submit choices. So be sure to do all that. And thanks so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys later.